Piccolo Medical, Augie Shanahan.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming and thank you to the NIH for sponsoring us today. So I'm here to talk to you about PICC lines, peripherally inserted central catheters, and the navigation technology we've developed. So for those that don't know, a PICC, a peripherally inserted central catheter, there are around 8.5 million of these placed every year around the globe, over 3 million here in the United States. These are very long catheters inserted in your arm, but they're advanced until the tip of the catheter is right at the entrance to your right atrium in the heart. They're used for delivering important medications to critically ill patients, such as chemotherapy or IV antibiotics, as well as daily blood draws. So the location of the tip is quite important. You're targeting the cavo-atrial junction, and malpositioning of the tip of the catheter is associated with significant patient risk. It can cause arrhythmia if it's too deep in the heart, or other complications if it's too high in the vein. So speaking of those complications, first and foremost, thrombus formation is a major consideration. Up to 45% increased risk of thrombus formation if your catheter tip is placed too high. And nobody wants a catheter looking like that in your vein. Now, on the dysfunction side, these are catheters that should last up to 30 days. That's one of the advantages of a PICC over an IV, is it lasts so long. Now, if you have premature dysfunction such as occlusion, your 30-day implant may need to be replaced in as little as 3 to 5 days. So I want to talk a little bit about the user here. These are nurses, vascular access specialists, many of them board certified vascular access nurses, and all they do day in and day out is place vascular devices. A typical day, starting a shift, they may have as many as 10 orders to start the day. Most of those peripheral IVs, but as well as a few to midlines. And efficiency is key for these users. They'll have more urgent orders added throughout the day. The typical PICC procedure may take around 34 minutes, but confirmation of that catheter, that it's in the right location, historically was done with X-ray, which can take up to 78 minutes on average to clear a line. So the trend has been clear towards moving towards bedside confirmation, getting rid of the X-ray, getting rid of the unnecessary radiation, and letting the users be efficient, clear the lines bedside. Over 3/4 of PICCs in the US that are done bedside are now confirmed bedside by the vascular access specialist. So the primary technology on the market for clearing the line is intravascular ECG. The way it works is you have an electrode on the catheter. As that approaches the heart, a part of the ECG waveform changes, and specifically the P wave. So again, we're targeting that cavo-atrial junction, and when you have a maximum P wave on your intravascular ECG, you know you're in the right spot. The market-leading technology in the US uses this ECG technique as well as a magnetic tracking system for gross navigation to make sure you're turning down towards the SVC. Although this is the gold standard in the US, that magnetic tracking has significant complications for patients that are obese or are just off of cardiac surgeries and have other complicating technologies that are interfering with the signal. And the ECG technology is limited, as you can imagine, in patients with arrhythmia. So the result here on the arrhythmia side is as many as 16.5% or more have these P-wave altering arrhythmias, making the ECG technology essentially useless and resulting in a chest X-ray for all those arrhythmic patients. These are your AFib, aflutter, or pacemaker patients. And on the other side, is just the overall accuracy and the variability of performance of this gold standard technology. Independent peer-reviewed literature shows that as much as 56% of those patients in the ICU have a malpositioned PICC despite the use of this technology. So the Piccolo system is what I'm here to talk to you about today. We received 510K clearance last year as an alternative to chest X-ray for confirmation of PICC lines. We have an easy-to-use disposable kit and a low-cost capital system. The way our technology works is we're employing the ECG technique, but we also have a blood sensing navigation technology, which is used in conjunction with the ECG. And our core technology is called ionic dilution. We have a stylet which protrudes at the end of the catheter, and the electrodes on the stylet are sensing the blood flow condition in real time at the tip of the catheter. So there's 4 typical flow states that you might encounter during a procedure. You start out in the peripheral vein and you're in antegrade flow. The catheter and the blood are heading the same direction towards the heart. And what you see there is essentially an activity on our distal flow sensor showing the pulses of the blood in the vein on that distal sensor, represented by this blue trace. When you get to the target location, you'll see a very pulsatile flow condition that exists right at the entrance to the right atrium. And this is a well-established phenomenon in this blood flow condition. And what you'll see is activity on both our proximal and our distal sensor. If you go too deep into the atrium, you're now experiencing turbulent flow, which will be represented by 2 flat lines on our signal. And of course, if you navigate up the wrong vessel, such as the jugular vein, what you'll see is you're now swimming upstream. The blood is flowing the wrong direction of your insertion, so you're getting activity on our red or proximal sensor. This is all interpreted by our machine learning algorithm to give very simple user feedback to the nurse: green arrow, keep going, do not enter, wrong way, etc. I'll now show a quick video here of a live flow demonstration showing the technology in action. Thank you. So this is a simulated use model that we've developed at Piccolo. It uses a very sophisticated blood pulsatile pump to replicate the cardiac output. It's running right here at around 3.6 liter per minute cardiac output. And you can see the vessel design here. Looks like the video might be having some issues. But essentially what you'll see is the progression through the vein as the catheter turns down towards the right atrium, and you'll see the progression of the signals on our app. Well, looks like we might not get to see it, but I'm happy to show you at our booth, which is conveniently located right there. We do have this video loaded up as well as the system, so please stop by for a demo. And just moving on, as I mentioned, we received 510(k) clearance. We've executed a clinical feasibility study at our local sites in San Francisco and Mountain View, California. We've treated 42 patients to date. Our preliminary accuracy is 81% across those 42 patients. And we've implemented some key redesigns for a 2nd generation product, which we'll be launching early next year. And I want to finish just with a case study here, which I'm showing up on the screen. This was a patient that we treated who was experiencing atrial flutter during the procedure. As you can see on the bottom of our app, there's the fluttering waveforms of the ECG. That made the P-wave technique not possible, and which was confirmed by the user. However, the ionic dilution signal was able to accurately detect that flow condition at the cavo-atrial junction, and the nurse was able to accurately place the pick based on that. So that's it. Please come visit our booth right here, and thank you very much for listening.